Welcome back to First Take. Let's go back to Friday when the Spurs closed out the Timberwolves and advanced to the Western Conference Finals. Minnesota specifically, they lost by 30. Julius Randle was only 1 for 8. He finished with just 3 points. Anthony Edwards shot 9 of 26. Not good, but he still finished with 24 points. Speaking of Ant-Man, there was a strange moment with 8 minutes left in the game. During a timeout, you can see Ant head over to greet the head coach of the Spurs, Mr. Johnson. He's like dapping up all the players as well, including Victor Wembanyama. And we're questioning, why is this happening right now? Well, here was Anthony Edwards on that extremely early handshake and the pleasantries exchanged.
I mean, at that point, you know you ain't going back in, so you're just trying to get them the respect they deserve. So, yeah.
All right, kind of brushing it off a little bit. Any issue with this perk?
Hell no. Hell no. Issue for what? Why? Why? He just highlighted it. We were getting smoked. He knew he was coming out the game. And by the way, I don't believe that Anthony Edwards after the game stayed around. He walked straight back to the locker room. So he just got it out the way early. Anybody that is questioning Anthony Edwards' leadership, his heart, his mentality, because of that moment, because he's just showing respect, because the better team won and they kicked their ass, they got a problem. I don't see no issue whatsoever with what Anthony Edwards did, because he was going to the bench. Like we gotta stop. This is a guy that came back early. This is a guy that was out there playing like an offensive lineman. When I say playing with 2 hurt knees, that had two knee braces on. Like out there giving it his all. He left it all out there on the floor. That wasn't nothing but a sign of respect. Congratulations. We know we don't have a chance of coming back. I'm not going to wait around to dab you guys up. I'm about to go sit on the bench as soon as this game over. I see the fans exiting the building. Damn, I'm going to be exiting the building. That's it.
Stephen A.
Big perk.
Oh, God.
You know, as big as your ass is, you always call me your big brother. All right? So let me say this to you. Let me try to impart these words of hopefully of wisdom to you. 2 things can be true. Anthony Edwards, under no circumstances, should be questioned as a leader. His greatness, his commitment. He's my favorite player in the NBA to watch, him and Steph Curry. I say that religiously. I love the brother. And he is a showstopper. He is a superstar in this league. You know, more often than not, he answers the call. All of those things could be true. And he could very well have been doing what you said, and I believe him, showing respect to the San Antonio Spurs, who kicked their ass and elevated his level of frustration, because as Jay pointed out on Get Up this morning, I'm not going to steal his thunder, when he pointed out at Julius Randle, because my God, the lack of effort that Julius Randle showed defensively on several occasions. Jay, I'll leave that to you to bring up, because you were all over it, and the world deserves to hear again what you said on Get Up this morning. But Big Perk, there's still a time and a place for everything. And the reality is that, giving love to my brother Udonis Haslem, who was on Prime, you know, on Friday night when this happened, he pointed out how that's not something you do with 8 minutes left in the game. You could have waited till the end of the game and then walked down there and did the exact same thing at that particular moment in time. That's just not the greatest looking word. It's not the end of the world. People, you're absolutely right, Big Perk. People shouldn't be overreacting and condemning Anthony Edwards and all of this other stuff. But whether it wasn't just about the respect for the San Antonio Spurs, it was also about his disgust with the results, his disgust with his teammates, his disgust with the outcome and how these cats didn't show up the way that they were supposed to on their home turf, you know, which Jay again will get into. It could have been all of that. But when you go out there with 8 minutes left in the game and you shaking hands, you know, with the opposition at that particular moment in time, there is a better way to do that. I'm not going to go any further than that, but it's not something you normally see. Steve Nash, you know, Dirk Nowitzki were right on the set with him. You know, when UD said what he said, there's a way to do things, and there's a time and a place for everything. The place was obviously correct, but the timing of that, you wait until the end of the game to do that, bro. You didn't have to do it at that particular moment in time. That's all anybody's saying.
I have seen LeBron James.
I was sitting on the bench. I was sitting right there on the bench.
You know, and maybe I can't remember if he caught the same type of heat that Anthony Edwards has.
Didn't.
But he did dap up everybody on the court.
8 minutes left. 8 minutes left. 4 minutes left.
4 minutes.
Well, I mean, they were getting smacked, right?
I was getting smacked. I was sitting right there on the bench. Had a nice suit on.
Maybe it was a visual like him going into the bench, but I mean, to me, dapping up everybody on the court. So I have seen something similar before. The only thing I'm going to say.
To me, that's not similar, by the way. By the way, that's not similar to me. You dapping cats up on the basketball court is entirely different than going down to the visiting bench. That's an entirely different look, guys.
I can't argue all the way against that, Stephen. I guess what I had talked about earlier goes to, I still think we're watching the evolution of Anthony Edwards as a leader. I think it's safe for us to say that for as dynamic as he is, for as competitive as he is, there's still room for him to continue to grow into the player we know he can ultimately be. And, you know, showing these clips of Julius Randle, I think the level of disgust that he felt was something that other players on their roster felt as well. I.e. Dante DiVincenzo, Naz Reid, I know they made comments about it after game, but just look at these 3 clips I'm going to show y'all. This is a closeout scenario at home, y'all. Julius Randle guarding the ball just leaves the ball. Doesn't even pay attention to the ball. Castle just has a wide open dunk in transition. Don't even look at him. And then he looks at his teammate, he throws his hands up. The next play, ball again, leaves the ball again. Close out scenario. And then the last play off this replay, the same one before, right? Dunk and one finishing opportunity. Then the last play in transition, the last one back in the scene, doesn't even go. KP, that's a half-ass block. Half chance for a block. Not even in the play. So, look, we can all have our opinion on what Anthony Edwards should have done. We all know who this dude is. SA, I've heard you talk about him on national TV. It reminds you a lot of MJ. We all know how psychotically competitive this dude is. So all I'm going to say is, even though we may not have seen it before, there has to be something brewing inside of him that got him to the point where he can go inside the lot and dap up a team that is playing more together than his team can be. Now, maybe you could say that's a little bit on aim. I'm not saying this right, but there has to be something to get him to that point.
Regardless of my decades of covering the sport, let me defer to y'all by asking y'all both this question. Let me read exactly what Udonis Haslem said, and let me get y'all comments about that. Quote, as a leader, I would not have walked down there and shook their hands. As a leader of my troops and my guys, I would not have shown that weakness. The game is not over. I've got 8 minutes left. I still got smoke coming out my ears. Let me calm down for those 8 minutes since I'm not in. And then after those 8 minutes, I'll go down there and I'll congratulate them and their coaching staff. In the middle of the game, when I got guys that have sat on the bench and cheered me on going into the game for garbage time, no, I'm not. I'm going to sit there and cheer those guys on. I'm going to put that energy back into those guys. And then when the game is over, I'll go over there and shake their hands. That's just the way I handle things. Well, that's what Udonis Haslem said. What is y'all comment about that?
And that's the way that UD handled things. And guess what? That was some of the ways that we had in 2008. If you didn't have on the Celtic jersey, we wasn't messing with you. So I get it. UD from the old school. That's him. And I'm not saying he's wrong. What I'm saying is I didn't see nothing wrong with Anthony Edwards. But that's Jay Will. Let me get to your point, because that was a great point and clips that you brought up about Julius Randle. Shay, let me see if your listening skills been around for the last 3 weeks since I've been on this show.
Moody.
The one thing that I've been highlighting, SA, is that I'm big on watching what? Body language. Okay, and I was talking to Julius Randle. I said that he had never got over the fact since the trade deadline, go look at his numbers. It was a drop-off because his name was mentioned in trade rumors when they were trying to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. He couldn't be professional enough to say that this is a business. By the way, we saw this same Julius Randle doing the last part of his stint with the New York Knicks. I'm telling you, before I do anything with the draft, I don't even know off the top of my head if they even have a draft pick. I would trade Julius